Hey guys, Professor Bill, Comic Book University. Taskmaster issue number 3. Okay, I feel like this is an anime or a manga where it's like, no, you got to get several issues in before it's actually any good. All right, fine, you caught me. All right, I'm not saying this was completely without its flaws, but I also recognize when a comic book isn't necessary for me, or at least a certain part of a comic book isn't for me. You know what I'm saying? That being said, I'm in it for the haul. I'm in it for let's see how the first 5 issues, go back, and then we'll see what everything else happens. All right, we'll see how this all pans out. For now, let's talk about who made this comic book. This issue is called The Rubicon Trigger, Part 3. Jed MacKay is the writer, Alessandro Vitti is the artist, Guru Effects on colors, VC's Joe Caramagna on letters. Valerio Giordano and Arif Prianto doing the cover art. There's a variant cover out there, and let's get talking about the comic book. So they start off in Seoul, or someplace in South Korea. They're talking in Korean with each other, and obviously Taskmaster knows his language, and he's talking to Nick Fury in Arabic. I love the idea that Taskmaster can speak pretty much every language. I mean, it only makes sense that he should, right? So it's one of those things where it's like, it's the least you can do. Make him be able to throw a punch and make him be able to speak all the freaking languages. You know what I'm saying? I love that idea. At the very least, I know we've seen it before, but sometimes you wonder, does somebody understand a character or not? Or do they at least have close to an understanding of the way that you understand the character? Anyway, these guys are basically terrorists. There's some funny stuff that I hope that I can remember later on. In the meantime, Taskmaster shrinks down. He's got some bootleg Pym particles with him, and I love this. And we also get something that surprised me. I didn't expect this in this issue. We get the first appearance of a brand new character. I actually had to look the character up. Teguki. I don't know how to pronounce that name, but I did, however, look up and see that this is actually the name of the symbol on the flag of South Korea. And that's basically what this guy is. He's walking Captain South Korea. You know what I'm saying? He's got, with his costume at the very least. He's even got the stripes, where they technically should be. Really good character design. I love this. And he actually reminds me of Kong Kinan, the Chinese Superman over the DC comic books. I mean, he actually looks like he's filled out. It's like the adult version. But that being said, is he going to be fleshed out the way that Kong is? Well, one can only hope. Like, genuinely, one can only hope. This is where the comic book starts to get really good, because Taskmaster infiltrates the main base where the new superhero has to go, and he's hiding in the HVAC vent, and what do you call it? Like the air conditioning vent, heating, ventilation, air conditioning, and he's listening to the hero talk to Amy Han, director Amy Han. Oh, you got my attention now. Because I think all of us know exactly who that is. I'm not going to sit here and get into super spoilers, but he gets into a fight with this character later. Pretty cool, because he recognizes, and this is where Taskmaster shines. He's looking, and he's not only watching and seeing how everybody's moving and blah, 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 but he's noticing that she, in and of herself, is a hero. She has superpowers. He knows this. He can tell by the way that she's moving. He's even starting to pick out which powers she has. He didn't recognize it at first, but then he's just like, wait a second, I bet she's got powers on blah, 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 blah. In fact, and he starts going into it. And the more, if he would have been able to watch her more, he would have been able to know more. But the way that this was handled was just so expertly. I loved it. Absolutely loved it. As the comic book goes on, he winds up getting into a fight. It's a really cool fight. I like it. I like some of the things that were said in the book, and I want to actually get into some of that stuff now. When Jed MacKay, I only know Jed MacKay is white because there's a profile of Jed MacKay in all of the Marvel comics this week, or at least this one and a couple other ones that I read so far. So it's like, white guy from Nova Scotia. Gotcha. He's not from Nova Scotia originally, so he doesn't have that Scotia attitude, right? Anyway, not attitude, excuse me, the accent. I can't replicate it. That's one of those ones you don't even want to try. Look up the Nova Scotian accent. It's Newfoundland that actually has the Newfies. There we go. Never mind. Screw Jed MacKay. He's got a regular old accent. Who cares? But anyway, I love the idea that he was willing to tackle racial humor in some way. You know what I'm saying? Like, they're in South Korea. He's talking about how these particular guys, because they're mercenaries and whatnot, they can't read. I'm like, yeah, you figure anybody, even in America, you know what I'm saying? If you are a terrorist, you're probably so hateful of the world that you probably can't read. You know what I'm saying? Like, your educational level is definitely filled more with conspiracy level stuff than textbook stuff, you know? So, I mean, it is what it is. And yeah, I like the idea that these terrorists, Asian or not, were treated just the way that any terrorist should be treated in literature, in fiction, right? So I dug on that. And I think that took a lot more bravery than anything else. And then later on in the book, he talks about, oh, white fox, I know a black fox, but he's white. And you're the white fox, but you're not white. Wait a second, you guys need to get your freaking names in order. That was a great joke. That was a freaking fantastic, great, funny as hell joke. Well, it wasn't funny as hell, but it was funny enough. It was funny enough. I'm just like, that was actually really good. And it was tackled. It wasn't shied away from. It wasn't, oh my God, we gotta be special and treat people with kid gloves. No, humor is humor. Humor is humor. It doesn't have to just be attacking up. Or you should only attack up. You should never attack down. But humor is supposed to be spread around in general. You get what I'm saying? I love that these jokes and these references were made in the book. It's something that I just noticed, and I thought this is actually really good. I dig on that. Thank you. It's not the idea that, oh no, these people are fragile. So, we can make fun of them, but we can't make fun of them. No, just stop. Can we just use humor the way that it was meant to be, where we're all just ribbing on each other and, but gotcha. I'm looking forward to you getting me back. It's probably going to be a doozy. Like, that's the kind of humor that I dig. So there's that. And on top of that, the way that Taskmaster was used, till we got towards the very end, and that's what gave me a bit of a question. Also, we're going to need you guys' help in a minute, so bear with me for that. Again, I know that some people will disagree with me. Some people will agree with me, whatever. It's an opinion, man. It's an opinion. That's all it is. Don't get butthurt over the idea that I don't think that the Black Widow is that terrifying of a character. And I really hope that it's explained at some point why Taskmaster is so terrified of Black Widow. You get what I'm saying? Like, he's fought against Captain America. He's fought against so many heroes and whatnot, including the Punisher. Like, he's not afraid of the Punisher that way, but he is afraid of the Black Widow that way. I don't know. And again, if you would have used Elektra in this place, in her place, I think it would have made more sense, but like with the movies being out and she's totally awesome, but she's not the killer type. Hawkeye is more the killer type, with his Ronin persona than anything else, but he's even more of a joke than freaking Taskmaster is nowadays. It's one of those things where it's like the movies don't match up with the comics and vice versa. And I know that they're separate worlds, but we're trying to get more people into reading comic books so the medium doesn't necessarily go away, or we're not limited to online only sales of a couple books unless it's Batman. Yeah, I'm looking at you, DC. I'm looking at you. Anyway, my opinion on Black Widow, and I've been reading her since, well, almost since her inception, but I have gone back and read her Inception books where, she wasn't a freaking physical threat at all. She was just a seductress. No, I've looked back at the books, and I actually started reading her with when she was titled with Daredevil, in Daredevil's books. It was there for hers and his books. And yeah, she's dangerous as hell, but I just don't see her as being on the same level as Elektra. I don't see her as being on the same level as the Punisher as far as you should be afraid. In fact, I'm really curious as to why Bucky isn't considered, Winter Soldier isn't considered more of a threat than Black Widow. It is what it is. I don't see her as being that level of threat. So there has to be some kind of a reason why. And I'm hoping that Jed isn't just going to leave this as an open-faced, it is what it is. You know what I'm saying? I said that she's a threat. If you can't see why she's a threat, poop on you. Well, you could. At the same time, you could also do something really cool. All it takes is one scene. It literally takes one scene that maybe we never saw in the comics, or something that's very particular to him, why he's more afraid of her than anybody else. And all of a sudden, the payoff is in spades, right? And future stories that way also. Suddenly you can tell future stories where like, oh my God, look, and boom, 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 and this came from that. Like, you get a Budapest story where everybody's waiting to find out what the F happened in Budapest, Anyway, what's interesting is that Jed made it so the artists could have more fun than I've seen in a while. Boom. All these particular fights and scenes and whatnot, like, I really dug it. It's Taskmaster actually talking about all the things he's done. But this particular one is not named. The other ones are. This is just that punch I saw one time. Does anybody recall that punch? Because I know I've seen that punch before. And it's obviously with two different characters. And I'm like, what the frick, dude? Who were the characters who did this original punch? This is fun. Like, if you guys could, like, point that out in the comments, if somebody can recall, because I just can't. I'm like, I know it. I just can't recall. I looked up best punches in comic books and greatest comic book punch and, stuff like that. I can't find it. Since it's not named, I figured maybe it's something from over in DC. Is that a Superman versus Batman one? But I looked up that one specifically too. Couldn't find anything. Maybe you guys can help me out. Multiple minds. We're going to be the uni-mind on this one. Eternals reference. Anyway, I liked this. I really like this book a lot, and I'm looking forward to the next issue and the resolution of this as well. When you're going to use the Taskmaster, you have to use the character like this, like he's used in this book. And again, bringing back that manga reference. I love I don't like the idea that it took 3 issues to actually get into who the character is, but I do appreciate what happened here. There's a lot that's very surface level, skin deep. You get what I'm saying? They're not deep cuts. They're very surface level. That being said, there was also a surface level cut physically in the comic book also, and that is what he wrote on the wall with his knife. Surface level, but I got the message point, right? I dug what happened in this comic book because it doesn't need to go that deep into it. It's the Taskmaster. He's the guy who sees, like, he's the monkey see, monkey do supervillain, right? Pretty damn simple. That said, he's able to recognize, McKay is able to recognize who the character is and really get him into our minds in a way that I think the character should be. And I really dug on that, and I appreciate the hell out of that. I could read 100 issues of Taskmaster being treated in this particular regard. Also, the idea that he was openly called an idiot or whatever at some point, Taskmaster was in here by the director, I thought that was actually really cool. Because when you, like, if there's the elephant in the room and then you actually call out the elephant in the room, suddenly it kind of staves off the thing, like the thing that everybody sees but nobody wants to talk about, right? I don't care if it's a bad date or whatever. If you're ever on something where somebody just doesn't want to talk to you again, you're like, what did I do wrong? In reality, it doesn't matter because what that person doesn't like, somebody else will like. So you just found the wrong person. It's not a big deal at all. It's not you, it's me. Yeah, you're right. It is. Been good talking to you. Peace. You know what I'm saying? Walk away. Walk away. Fish in the sea, baby. Fish in the sea. But all that being what it is still good to know what people think about you sometimes, particularly if you're not having a good time with, dates or friends or whatever. And in this particular case, when she calls him a fool or a joke, he's like, ouch. That's something where this is also a potential growing opportunity. Maybe, hopefully, dear God, maybe Jed McKay, knows that this is the way that Taskmaster has been treated for a while, but he should be that deadly adversary, and we could still keep a huge portion of the humor because it makes the character, fun. And Jed McKay is great at writing humor. Let's just call a spade a spade. But if Taskmaster can, in character, if Taskmaster can say to himself, people see me as a joke. I don't want to be seen as a joke. So if that's the case, well, shoot, maybe I just need to make a couple tweaks and then suddenly make him super dangerous again. I would love that. I would absolutely love to see that. Again, I think that the first time he's ever really made to be a joke was in the Initiative, where he met what would, the predecessor to the Black Ant. You know what I'm saying? Before he became an LMD. I think that's where he was really made into a joke, which was funny for the time, but unfortunately also kind of changed the character inexorably, and now he's going to be considered a joke. I think that this is a great opportunity for McKay to actually take the Taskmaster and bring him at least mostly back to where he was before, where he's funny but not a joke. Yeah, because there's a difference. Jokes are meant to be laughed at. You know what I'm saying? So laugh at the jokes, don't laugh at the person who suddenly is a joke. So anyway, digging on this, really looking forward to the next issues. Guys, I'll talk to you all later. Professor Bill, Comic Book University. Class dismissed.